Ms. Sapper, you ready? All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I'd like to call this meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Mr. Nichols is this evening, and we have filling in as our secretary. Please proceed with roll call, beginning with our state mayor.
Yes, Madam President. Mayor Hepkins,
Present.
President Monroe,
Present.
Vice President Rocloud, Councilor Trueheart,
Present.
Councilor Beatty,
Present.
Councilor Trent,
Present.
Councilor Peets,
Present.
Councilor Johnson, Kilkenny Law, Panoni Engineering, Yolanda Hughes, our tax collector,
Ms. Hughes contacted us about her absence, but said she did submit her report.
and Finance Director Nichols, he's absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Next, we will move on to Citizens Forum. Comments on agenda items only, limited to 3 minutes. We will start with Liz A. Alec Navage or Alec Navage?
His family tell me it's Alec Navage, so I've got to go with that. I would say Alec Navage, because I think that's
Fancy.
more Lithuanian sounding.
Oh, come on, this is Delco.
We talk Delco here in Delco.
Okay.
Alec Navage.
Navage.
Alec Navage.
Alec Navage. Thank you, ma'am.
So if this is agenda items only, when do we get to speak about non-agenda items? Because this is a caucus meeting, not a legislative meeting. And
Now,
oh.
I'm just following the, but now.
I didn't know if that was a misprint or copy and paste from the olden days of previous administration. I didn't know if I was going to have to fight you.
Not tonight.
All right. Phew. All right, good. There's been a lot of talk about food insecurity and how it'd be nice if we had a grocery store in Yeadon. And our rec director, Roy Hunter, has mentioned how important it is for kids to learn where food comes from and learn basic farming skills. I would like council to consider changing the current ordinance, which prohibits all farm animals, and start allowing chickens. This is at a request from another resident, by the way. I personally don't plan on harboring chickens. All the upscale neighborhoods, including Media and Lansdowne and Montclair, New Jersey, which is upscale, allow residents who have sufficient backyard space. Not every resident in Yeadon has a backyard, but it allows them to keep up to 4 hens for the purpose of eggs for personal use, no selling, just eggs, like growing tomatoes, but they're white and higher in protein. Currently, there are a few Yeadon residents who do have chickens, and it would be nice if they weren't operating under the law. And it's probably about time to adapt old legislation so there's not this strange barrier to people providing nutritious food for their own families. Next topic, before summer, it would be great if we could create a policy regarding borough employees working outside during hazardous air quality conditions. Each summer has been worse and worse, and we're having more and more problems with wildfire smoke from Canada. And last year, I was the one emailing people saying, why are there people outside when we are at code purple, which is worse than code red? It's like nobody should be working outside unless it's an emergency. You know, we shut down Borough Hall because there's a dusting of snow and we're afraid to drive on the roads, yet we're going to send borough employees out to be, you know, sawing wood and doing hard physical labor when they shouldn't be breathing the air. I'm sure that the public works superintendent can keep a nice list of indoor projects, just as he does for rainy days, where they can, you know, work on improving Borough Hall or other interior projects when the air quality is hazardous, and if we had a policy in place, the department heads wouldn't have to guess, and would take that responsibility of making that call off their shoulders. I understand we're still in recovery mode, but communication issues need to improve. We recently had a zoning board hearing scheduled for the same time as the mayor's forum. Eventually, it would be great to get a calendar back on the website so the different entities, such as the zoning board, know how best to schedule events so they don't conflict with other major borough events like council meetings and the mayor's forum. There were major communication issues with the ADA ramp installations. No residents were informed that somebody was going to be outside their house jackhammering concrete and pouring new curb cuts. The most disturbing thing was one of the ramps was placed directly in front of an elderly resident's home at 716 West Cobbs Creek. That is in the middle of the block. There was no discussion on council that a curb cut was going to go right in the middle of the block. This is a block of twins. There's room for exactly one car in front of each home. Anybody else has to park in the common driveway and back. So, you know how it is in the suburbs. There's a code. You park in front of your house unless you can't. And, you know, you get a nice balance on the block of who parks where. So now this person can't park in front of their own home. Not only is that problematic for, you know, the usual reasons, like bringing in groceries, but this has lowered his property value. People don't want to buy a house that doesn't have parking. Sure, he still can go down the common use alley, but we all know how problematic they are because you have to rely on your neighbors maintaining their portion of the alley and not blocking the alley. This should not have happened without a discussion. I don't know who had access to the plans. And worse yet, this is a very dangerous place to even cross the street. Like, I don't even understand why there's why there's going to be a crossing there, where you're going from Angora across the street to the middle of the block. There's no cross traffic there. The cars are coming on Longacre, they turn down West Cobbs Creek, and they start speeding because there is no stop until you get to the light at McDade around the curve. I mean, you'll look up a mile and a half, whatever it is. So they round the corner, start driving south on West Cobbs Creek Parkway, and they start flooring it. There's no stop signs, and this is, you know, a block and a half down, the hill's started, and you're going to have somebody in a wheelchair pop out from between parked cars, unless, of course, you prohibit parking on that entire block. I don't know how much space a crosswalk is given for visibility. I know corners, you know, there's no parking within 20 feet of a corner, so is there going to be, like, no parking 20 feet on either side of this curb cut ramp right in the middle of the block? And then there's, you know, two more residents who can't park. This should never have happened. This crosswalk shouldn't exist. It should be removed. I don't have hopes that that's going to happen, but it shouldn't be there. And then I've got a couple other questions. I mean, imagine a wheelchair, somebody in a wheelchair popping out from behind a parked car, and they're speeding. There's no cross traffic. There's no, you know, anybody that's, you know, Angora is across the street, but that's a one-way in. There's nobody coming out there, so there's no cause for traffic to be careful of anything. They're just flooring it. They're looking at their phones. They're not even looking. There's a couple other corners that are just strange decisions. If you're going to open up an entire corner and re-pour an entire corner, such as happened at the corner of West Cobbs Creek Parkway and Longacre, major intersection, stop signs on all directions. Ramps were only put across West Cobbs Creek. There's no pathway across Longacre. There's a stop sign. This is a regulated intersection. I saw children getting off of a bus there today, walking across Longacre. Sure, the bus is there with the flashers in the evening or in the afternoon when it's dropping them off, but in the morning if they're going there, if that's a regular stop for a bus stop, I was surprised to see a bus stop there, but those children are navigating that, without a crosswalk on the way to the bus. So I don't understand why we're disrupting a whole corner and not creating a pathway, using all options. We're doing a half-assed job, and I don't understand how this happened. And that's not the only corner where only some directions got to have ramps. And just 1 block south, the corner of West Cobbs Creek Parkway and Whitby Avenue, you got curb cuts to go 3 ways around, but not the 4th way. That's just weird. You can't
It's
just
Liz.
walk
Your
up.
3 minutes are up.
And that was my end of my topic.
Madam Chair,
Councilor Rollcloud?
may I ask, what is the address you said again?
Your mic.
716 West Cobbs Creek.
Councilor Rollcloud?
Yeah.
Your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
All right.
And I would just ask when the engineer recites her report that she addressed that.
Absolutely.
Please.
So the backyard ordinance, I believe we do have people with chickens. We addressed that in the prior administration.
Is it on the online code book? 'Cause I didn't see it.
I'm not sure, but I do know that we're aware that there are chickens in the neighborhood, and
You've seen them too?
they haven't been arrested,
I'm not-
and we know that the owners have. The chickens have not been arrested.
Then that's another thing we need to do is update the online code book to reflect all the legislation that has happened in recent years. Because
But in the recent past, a lot of things that were done were undone. So we're still trying to.
so I can tell my friend she can go get chickens?
I mean, let's get clarification on that maybe within 2 days. Can we give 2 days? All right. For the air quality, I believe we have to abide by OSHA rules. So, and we have a union for that as well. So, if that director of public works is forcing his people out in purple weather, we should go after him directly. He's right there. And the curb cuts, I'm going to ask our engineer to address those concerns in our report. And you're right, we should be informed prior to. With the zoning being the same day as the mayor's forum, I specifically inquired about that and was told that it was at a different date and time, and that the council does not determine when the zoning board meets, and they said that they did not view it as a conflict. So, and I believe and I'm not saying that as a slight to the zoning board, I'm saying that they have a set of schedules that they have to coordinate as well, and they didn't think that it was a conflict. I even said, because I know the zoning board typically meets on the 2nd floor, and then they said they know that they're meeting in council chambers. So and we did ask that going forward, they would be mindful of conflicting events.
It has been corrected, is what I want to say.
Okay. And the zoning board member says it's been
That
corrected.
timing has been corrected. At the last, and I'm a new person on the zoning board. At the last zoning board meeting, I addressed that. We're now going to meet the 4th week. We're not going to mess with the 1st, the 2nd, and not the 3rd Thursday. It will be the 4th week that zoning will meet.
But just double check that for any committees, because I don't know when the committees are meeting too. All right. Anna, zoning hearing.
I don't have very many comments. First, thank you very much for using Zoom with regards to these meetings. I think a lot of people are actually taking availability with regards to that, and it's very much appreciated. Do have a request, though. Some of the other, I think they're, I forget what you call them, the workshops. Some of the other workshops are actually on Zoom, and people are having problems with them. It's saying that the host is requiring a commercial account. If we could look into that and figure out what it is that's going on, because I know that I had that issue along with several other people, and even if you switch devices, you couldn't get on. It was still saying the same thing. On the one where there was the issue I got on, by using just the audio on a phone. But obviously, by doing that, I couldn't ask any questions, I couldn't share any thoughts. So that would be appreciated. And then the other thing that I had to address was just the zoning committee. We said that there were some concerns with regards to communication. The one Clara has already addressed. The other is, it seemed as if there was some lack of communication between the zoning and borough council and some other people. I believe the police chief had some information that he wanted to share, and it wasn't allowed, which is rightfully so, because it had to go through the solicitor. But it seems like there should be some kind of policy or procedure in place where if it is something that somebody's reaching out and saying, if this was the business, was there anything that needed to be shared? So if we could just take a look with regards to that, that would be appreciated. And the last thing, since we do have the engineer here, if we could get an update. Church Lane and Millie Road is very difficult with regards to people crossing. If we could get I know that we're looking with regards to doing something there. If we could just get an update with regards to that. Thank you so much.
Okay. Ms. Marcini, are you able to offer any insight on why zoning and council have to operate as separate entities?
Because they do, but I can't give a specific reason or follow.
Okay. So I know that in the past we have been advised that they have to be separate entities because there are decisions that the zoning board makes that council then has to vote on. So there has to kind of be a separation of the two until that kind. I don't know what you're specifically speaking about, but I do know that we have to.
I'm thinking that the solicitor should have been aware that the borough solicitor should have been aware that this zoning thing was going on, and somehow reached out to the police chief, or the police chief reached out to somebody. I'm not sure, but there was some information that he wanted to share with regards to that particular incident. Don't know if or maybe we're not supposed to be sharing that information. But if they could take a look with regards to it.
I can tell you this, so the zoning board has their own solicitor, They have their own solicitor, their own lawyer.
Correct.
Right. We can, the solicitor from council can attend those meetings if requested to, and we can intervene if it's necessary. But we can't just give information.
Well, no, but I think the police chief had some information that he wanted to share. He wouldn't be able to share it himself. It would have to go through you. But somebody would have had to communicate.
So, Madam Chair. Councilor Rowe.
Ma'am.
So, this particular zoning hearing involved someone wanting to transform a basement into some sort of banquet hall. And it was alleged, because I didn't have an opportunity to ask the chief whether or not it was true or not, but it was alleged that the chief had some information that he wanted to share to the zoning board members to help assist with, give them information prior to them making a final determination. But the police chief was advised that he could not do that on behalf of the borough without representation from the solicitor.
Okay.
So that was the issue.
All right. So Chief, you now understand that if there, prior to the zoning board meetings, if there's anything that you have to contribute, please send it through our solicitor.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. I used to get the list. If I get the zoning list, I used to be able to identify problems that I see coming. I'm happy to do that as well.
Okay.
So
all right. That makes sense.
Can we ensure that Kilkenny Law is provided with the list of the zoning hearings? Because I'm not sure do you get the list as well?
No, I found out from talking to Code. So both Code and I have been talking, and so we have a relationship where if it's coming up again, I will know and I will contact Kilkenny Law and say, hey, I would like to speak on if we have an issue with the location in question.
So in the past, the two solicitors would communicate directly.
I should be able to.
Okay. So can you just make contact with the zoning board, the solicitor for the zoning board, and make sure that you're getting that information directly? All right.
And if the police chief has some issues that he would like to reveal, then the police chief would just let the solicitor know
Yep.
that he has information that would be pertinent.
And I would attend the meeting and then I would say it.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Jill Collins?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My first concern is that I've been in my home on Longacre Boulevard for 42 years. And what I want to know, I'm a senior citizen, and I want to know why is it seemed like this county here seems to be picking on senior citizens. Now, this is my complaint here. They're talking about knocking my house down. Now, I've been there 42 years, like I said. The code enforcers, I asked them to be here tonight. I spoke to all of the ones who's involved on my street. This is what's going on. They had me pay $7,000 to cut down trees, which them trees been there ever since I've been there. Then they had $7,300. Then they had me pay $2,000 for a little bit of grass, which I have pictures of. I didn't bring them tonight. Growing over the curb, and they send in these trucks without letting me know, and they cut down all the trees in front of my yard. And then they charge me $2,000 for that. Then they charge me another $2,000, and I'm on disability. And I'm saying, why are you keep charging? I know they built that new stadium out there. And I said, what are you trying to get money from me to help with your back bills here? Because every time you turn around, I'm paying like $2,000, $7,000, $6,000. I'm paying all these fines. And everything they asked me to do, they say, my fiance and I was together 27 years, and he lived there. He had a lot of stuff in the yard. Everything they asked me to do, excuse my voice, I have asthma. Everything they asked me to do, month after month, I have done. He had a lot of stuff in the yard. It's land on each side of the house. And they say, Mrs. Collins, we want you to remove that right away, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, is there any help you can give me? Because now that he has passed, I'm by myself, and I'm from the South. All my family is down South. So I came to the borough, and I asked them for help of a trash truck. I asked them for help help me get rid of the furniture. Everything was a no. One lady said to me, come to one of the borough meetings about my roof. Because before he passed, he was fixing the roof on top. And even the paper, I don't know, I think it's still up there today. And they said, come to the borough meeting, maybe we can get you help. I come to the borough meeting to see could I get this help for a senior citizen. And everyone was dumbfounded. It was like, they knew nothing. They had no kind of support. It was non-support here. And let me see here. And another thing, they stuck a note. I said to Simon and Rufus, I said, I have 2 more rooms to do, the basement and the porch area to remove stuff. So they stuck a sign on my door, which no one can get in the gate. I have a big lock on the gate, and I have it chained so no one could get in unless I'm there. So I don't know how they got in. Maybe they climbed across, and I have a sign up that says no trespassing. I'm sorry.
He does that all the time.
Says no trespassing. So evidently, they never gave me permission from the judge that they could climb across my fence and put these stickers on the window. And they did it like twice. And it says they didn't want anyone on the property. And I said, I had someone going on the property. if you have it fenced in and this great big chain fence on there. And now recently it snowed, it rained, and I had to stop moving items. And I had COVID. He said, Mrs. Collins, they said rather, Mrs. Collins, we gave you enough time. We want it done right away, else we're gonna knock your house down because you're older now, which I know, and you can't manage that property by yourself, like I don't know other people. And so I said, well, can you give me time? He said, well, you haven't bought no permits. I gave them a roofer that came out a month ago, said to the borough, they're gonna fix the roof. And it seems like they're so interested in knocking the house down just by looking at a roof. And I spoke to FEMA. FEMA was supposed to have been helping me and putting a torque over it so it did not deteriorate more. But it seems like they don't want to listen at nothing FEMA have to say. I don't know why they're so eager to tear my house down.
Ms. Collins, your time is up.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Ms.
it.
Collins, you made it. I gave you my card. Give me a call.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Does any,
Thank you, ma'am.
I know we had some late arrivals. Did anyone else have any forms they'd like to submit? All right. So there ends our citizens forum, and we will move on to our mayor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. My report stands as submitted. Just want to highlight one or two things that just appreciate the citizens' comments on not double booking for events. I do appreciate that. And we did, though, at the Mayor's Forum, held it last week, March 7th. Was well attended nonetheless. And Dr. B. Coates, of course, was our main speaker, presenter regarding the William Penn School District tract, and particularly when Yeadon residents will get to use it and not the asphalt, the hard asphalt section. He did say that they're reviewing it and he'll get back to us in 3 months, which would mean June, somewhere in the June timeframe. Was happy that, and we did invite the two school board directors from Yeadon, Robert Wright and Valerie Cook-Henry, who did attend. Been speaking to them also privately, and they're working with us to try to get that, make that happen. And one of them did say they don't foresee a problem. So I hope that does bear fruition. I will hold it at that, reporting on that for right now. And just to note that we do have a ski mask, a no ski mask ordinance that council passed last month at the legislative meeting, and that is a real trend, crime fighting trend. All those kids had masks in Philadelphia when they committed crimes or shot up the buses. We've had recent crimes in Yeadon where folks are using masks. So it is something that we're the first in Delaware County. No, one of the first in Delaware County, maybe the first, but certainly the first in the William Penn School District to pass that type of ordinance. And we're hoping that other municipalities within William Penn School District will follow suit. We have notified the school district, and the police are notifying the businesses, and we're also going to post flyers in the business establishments. As a matter of fact, that one apprehension that we had, Chief, that person was wearing a mask, the one that we caught with a shotgun, right?
Yes, that's correct.
He was wearing a mask as part of his crime fighting gear. And I spoke to the merchant, the owner of that TriStar, and he actually was aware that there's a no mask policy. He had to go to court and testify. But he was, when I talked to him about it, he understood that there was no mask ordinance enacted in Yeadon. So the word is getting out. And that ends my report.
Mayor. Yes. I don't know
Councilor
if you
Trent.
can follow on something with SEPTA or not, but when the 13 trolley comes from Darby,
Yeah.
and they stop right there, basically the corner of Chester and Allen Drive,
Yes.
and it's like they take a lunch break. And now you have cars coming on Chester Avenue that, the trolley has the flashes on, but some go around, some don't. But that's going to cause an accident at some point if it's not rectified that, they should take their lunch break someplace else. I mean, if they need to go around in the loop and park, fine. But I mean, to park on the street, it causes problems. I come out of Allen Drive, and a lot of times I'm trying to make a left turn. I don't know if there's a car coming around that trolley or not. So, I mean, so far, so good. We haven't had an accident, but I'm just saying it's possible. Because they get out the trolley and they go right there at that little deli, get the sandwich, go in, eat. So it's like they're sitting there for a while.
Yeah, the best way to handle that is to call SEPTA 215-580-7800,
I've
or
called them previously with no result.
probably better is to send an email at cservice@septa.org. C-service,
And if they don't get back to me or do anything, I mean,
yeah.
I used to call before.
Don't call, I think an email is better. Emails are better because it's more of a paper trail. cservice@septa.org, and identify yourself as an elected counselor.
Is it the letter C or the word C?
The letter C.
C-service at SEPTA.
.org.
Thank you.
So,
Chief?
Can
You
I
have-
interject? I'm not.
Sure.
Due to the marvelous technology of Zoom, Lieutenant Burns, hi Lieutenant Burns, just said Paul McGrenner, our sergeant, has been dealing with SEPTA with that and supervisors. So we've been contacting the supervisors. So.
Good.
so,
Like resolution.
Good. But they should also know officially up there. Yeah.
Councilor Roadcloud?
Not
Vice President
used to it
Councilor
yet.
Roadcloud?
Not used to it yet, right?
Now you saw this order.
Yeah, we got order, man. We don't know what to do.
So I just want clarity. So the SEPTA bus trolleys are literally on the street, blocking the street, having lunch. So you can't, that's not legal. You can't.
Yeah, we agree.
Yeah.
Burns has been dealing with it, Lieutenant Burns.
Been issuing tickets?
So,
I've talked to Sergeant McGrenner. If there's tickets to be issued, Sergeant McGrenner's issuing them.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'll check. But I don't know what
So-
kind of tag you can put on a trolley.
what happens is the trolleys, when they start, comes from Elmwood Depot, right there at near Island and Elmwood, yeah, and comes in the back way through Darby to start the 13 route. And there could be a pullout, and it could, because I know I did that job. It could be a pullout, and it could be a car swap, because so it's something that's probably unscheduled, and they may be laying over there, which you're not supposed to. They should really go in the loop, and you can go in the loop. They're not supposed to stay there if they have a layover or a lunch. They could go in the loop.
Okay, so it sounds like it's being handled. And we'll make sure we follow
I'm
up
not sure
a little more aggressively now, right, Chief? All right,
The
thank you
chief,
very much.
and right, we could do it through the police department end as well.
All right.
But there ends my report. Any questions for me?
So we have 3 questions from the audience. comments, but thank you very much. At this, in the interest of time, we have a presentation as a result of a request. And I'm going to yield my president's report to our solicitor to go over the Pennsylvania Right to Know Law and Sunshine Law.
Thank you. Colleen Marcini, I'm an attorney with Kilkenny Law, and I've actually been giving this presentation to a lot of boroughs and municipalities, so you're not special, you're just of what everyone's doing. And it's important, I think, to be updated on the law and what's happening. So as you know, and if I talk too fast, just slow me down. So Pennsylvania Right to Know, and actually your website that I looked at today is actually superb. You have a very clear, your right to know policy is spelled out very clearly, and the way in which individuals can ask for the information is spelled out very clearly. So you're one of the better boroughs that I've seen in looking at that. So what you know, with the right to know, individuals can ask municipalities for information, almost everything. What you need to know is your cell phones, right? If you use your personal cell phone for agency or borough business, that may be subject to a right to know request. So I always suggest, if you have your phone from your borough, use that phone, always, and keep your personal for your personal. And with your emails personal, keep them personal. Text messages, use your agent. If you're gonna be conducting any business or talking about it on your text messages, that is subject to. A lot of times, I think a lot of individuals just choose to have them automatically deleted. After a certain amount of time, every 30 days, all your text messages are deleted. Because sometimes, you can redact them, but mostly, if it's in there, people are gonna read it. And if you're writing something that you're not thinking is gonna be read, sometimes you don't want it to be out there. And usually, sometimes it's nothing. So, right to know, that's one thing. So cell phones they can look at, text messages they can look at, and emails. Those are the most important things. So just be careful of what you write, what you communicate, because everybody has a right to see all that. You are now public officials. So the other thing, so that's, any questions on the right to know? Okay. The other thing is, I'm going to discuss very briefly, is Sunshine Act. Sunshine Act, specifically, I move really quickly. So the Sunshine Act requires anything you're going to do, you're going to deliberate, you're going to take any public action, it has to be on your agenda 24 hours ahead of time. Public has a right to know what you're going to vote on or discuss, and they have a right to weigh in and make comment on that. If it's not on your agenda or not spelled out, then you can't vote on it. And typically, you did public comment first, which is perfect. So now you've seen your agenda, you've done your public comment, now you can vote and do your business, because you've already given everybody a chance to say something. Except for ordinances, that's a little different. But mostly is that the public can participate, and there's no side dealings or meetings. Now, you can have executive session, of course you can. And those things would be if you're going to be discussing personnel matters or legal issues.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second, please? Chief, can you make sure that the video feed is turned back on?
Yeah, it kicked him out, but he's back in, he said.
This is going to be on your website too, this whole presentation.
It's still being recorded.
Okay, it's still being recorded? Thank
Excellent.
you.
And this will be, all of this is going to be, I have this little PowerPoint, which I didn't make enough copies for everybody, but it's all going to be on your website by tomorrow, or maybe tonight, maybe. And you'll have it, you can look at it. But mostly, that's the most important things, is that your agendas are up to date, which yours are, I've seen them, and they're up 24 hours ahead of time, and all your business is on there. And when you have executive session, you come out and say, we had executive session, we discussed personnel matters. I've never seen any, I think you're handling everything very well. I would catch you if you weren't. Are there any, sorry, that was kind of inappropriate, but what I'm saying is you handle everything very well. So congratulations. And this will be on your website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just one correction. We are special. Thank you.
That's right.
At this time, I'll move on to our manager's report.
So for the manager's report, we have 2 motions for consideration. We have a consideration to amend the Yeadon Borough Hall rental application for use.
Louder, please. Thank you.
We have a consideration to amend the Yeadon Borough Hall rental application for use.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded on the question?
We've had a lot of discussion over the last couple weeks on this. A couple of things that we had talked about. One is that not to have any events July and August because of the cooling down in the second floor. Unless that's improved, that could cause a problem when you have large events, a lot of people.
Well, to that, I would say that if we are having an issue with cooling, then we just deny accepting a contract during that event. But, I don't want to just ban all events. We could have a cold July. But if we're finding that we're having significant difficulty, we could, we don't have to accept every proposal for usage of the room. But I don't think that should be included in the standard contract.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Okay. So we'll definitely take that into consideration, and our Public Works Director will be in contact with our borough manager to let them know who, if they're having issues cooling the room, not to rent it.
Another kind of like hard to define exactly is like we say events are 4 hours, but it's kind of implied that they get an hour set up and an hour to clean up. But it's not really stated that they get the hour to set up. And then later we say we're going to charge them for 2 hours of additional time for setup, which technically gives them 3 hours. So we don't really have it clear as far as that timing from that standpoint.
I didn't quite read it that way. In my interpretation, it seemed that if they wanted additional setup time, they can pay for it.
But it's not saying they have an hour setup time for the beginning.
Because they don't.
They don't?
No, it's a 4 hour. It's a 4 hour rental.
In the contract, it does say that they get 2 hours prior, and then an hour in between.
So so you're saying before and after, and you're saying that we charge them for it as well?
Well, they can buy additional upfront for setup, but not for afterwards.
Right. They just get an hour to clean up. That's the event.
Okay. So if it takes them more than an hour to clean up, then we charge them additional, right?
We could take it from that security.
Well, they have to be done an hour after their event ends. All events at night have to end at midnight. So they have to be out by 1. If there's still a mess, then we're going to take it out of their security deposit.
So what are you proposing then?
That is, people rent a 4-hour event. They know they should have setup time. You just don't have an event start at 9 o'clock and not have time to prepare for it. So you should have in there that they're getting an hour setup time. Basically, they're getting 6 hours.
So they are getting an hour. They're getting 2 hours setup, right?
It's not clearly stated though.
Can you read the portion where it's stated in the contract?
Under final payment process, the last paragraph. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It says, setup breakdown of an event may take place in the 2 hours immediately preceding the event and 1 hour after the reserved time.
Right, it's in there.
Which one?
Under final payment?
All right. Okay, it says it may take place 2 hours, but we're not giving them 2 hours. They have to pay for it. In other words, they should only have 1 hour, and then if they want additional time, they have to pay for it, up to 2 hours, which will give them 3 hours to set up. Some people,
Oh, no, they're not getting 3 hours to set up.
if they
Yeah,
pay
no.
for it, they can.
No, they don't need,
It should be
they don't
2
need
hours.
that much time, yeah.
2 hours should be good enough to set
So
up.
are you saying
You
that,
haven't seen weddings.
I just had
Wedding-
a party.
Weddings and receptions, sometimes they go overboard and nuts.
So what
I
we're
used to manage
providing-
banquet halls.
what we're providing is 2 hours ahead of time. So they need to prepare elsewhere so that they can get their setup with us done within a 2 hour time frame. And they need to, if they can't clean up within 1 hour, they need to start cleaning up at 11 o'clock.
It's not the cleanup, it's the setup.
Right, so the
If I'm
setup,
saying-
they get 2 hours.
If you're saying based on this, then we should change it, that they can take 2 hours immediately preceding to set up. Because if they can buy another 2 hours, now they're getting 4 hours.
I don't believe they can buy another 2 hours.
I don't think-
It's right in the contract. It says you may request in advance a maximum of 2 hours of additional time for setup only. It's on page 1. Right under repass costs.
Can I see yours, please? I had mine as digital.
Oh, okay.
Okay? You see what I'm saying?
No,
Right
so
here.
maybe for just
Can I ask a question real quick?
Repass is only 2 hours.
Can I ask a question? So, 2 hours setup. So most venues, and I just went through this last year when I had my thing. So most venues give you 6 hours. You get 2 hours to set up, 4 hours for the event, and that includes whatever you need to do to clean up. I've never ran into, and I called a lot of venues, I never ran into, and this is not for a wedding, this is for a birthday party, but I don't think anybody's having a wedding reception here. If they are, God bless you.
Ma'am.
They do.
But, I mean, you might.
Don't cut into our profits.
You know, but what I'm saying is, I had, my party was to end at midnight, but we started getting stuff cleaned up around 11 because they wanted to close. They were like, you got from 6 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's it. What you do in those 6 hours is your business. I don't think they should be allowed to have additional time at the end. I think the 2 hours for the setup is sufficient for most parties, birthday parties and repasts and stuff that more than likely will be going on here. And at the end, they should start gathering their things towards the end of the event.
Okay, so can I interject for a moment, please? Because what I'm believing, in the way that I read this, is this needs to be indented. This is for repast. Because if you look under the 4-hour event, it has all of the fees, all of the information. For the 4-hour event, you get 2 hours of setup. The repass is a maximum of 2 hours, but then there's a note under repass that says you may request in advance a maximum of 2 hours for an additional fee. So that's where. Well, that's what makes sense. That's what makes sense because the repass is 2 hours. For a 4-hour event, you get 2 hours to set up. You don't get to buy any more time. So we can make that clearer. And I think we make that clearer by indenting this and saying for a repass, you may request a maximum of 2 hours additional time for setup only. If anyone else has a hard copy, are you seeing what I'm seeing then?
Right, yeah.
So is there a consensus that could solve the issue?
Yes.
Well, I do think that it needs to be clarified, but we also, since we have our attorney here, to make sure that the wording is clear, because it does state here that they get up to 2 hours prior to an event to set up. That's in here. Mm-hmm. But the front page, which spells out the rental fees, someone could look at this and think you mean that I could buy an additional 2 hours no matter the event, the way it is printing here. So we need to be clear, what are we saying? Can we say anyone, regardless of the event, if you want additional time to set up, you can, as long as it's paid for? Or are we just saying that it applies to a repass? My understanding is, since it's on the fee page, if I were presented this, I would assume that I could buy the additional time no matter the event, the way it's presented here. So I think we need to state what is our intention regardless of the event. Can they buy additional time, yes or no?
So it could be clearer, but even under final payment process, they refer to it at the 4-hour is referred to as an event. A repass is considered something separate.
Well, repass is an event.
We can make that clearer.
Right. So we need to make it clear.
We have it set up so it says event, and then we have repass/meeting underneath it. Because repass basically is only a 2-hour sit-down meal.
To some people, but that's not the case.
So what we can do, this bullet goes over that it's under repass only, and then it says for repass. Yes, for repass.
So
and then in the
we
end,
can do that internally. I don't.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't think.
But no, we're in the middle of voting for it. So we'll
With all due respect, we can do that because it's kind of basic.
Yeah.
We can do it each.
Yes, we should. So, and then also for the setup and breakdown of any 4-hour event. So we want to add. So we want to say for repass, we want to make sure that this is for repass, and we want to make sure that when it says 2 hours, it's for when you get the under final payment, the last paragraph under the final payment process, you want to say for a 4-hour event. And that should complete it, so that we're delineating between, so you can request, as Crystal's copy, you can request up to 2 additional hours to set up for a repass with payment. But for a 4-hour event, you get 2 hours prior, 1 hour after.
Do you think it may make better sense if we just have a separate contract for repass?
You want to complicate life.
No, I mean,
It's a check mark. Are you doing an event or are you doing a repass?
Right.
It's covered on this kind of, because
To
everything
make
else
it clear, it should be indented if we're saying
Yes,
that
we're going to
additional
indent it.
is for that.
We're going to indent it. We're going to add for repass, and under the final payment process, we're going to delineate that it's for the 4-hour event.
So we have to table this.
No. So I'd like to ask for an amended. Does everyone understand?
There's still other things.
Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, based on what you were just saying on that first page, we have refundable security deposits, $750 is required for all events. And that's why I said repass is not really event, because they wouldn't have to put down the $750 security deposit for
They do?
repass.
Yes, they do.
They do put down a security deposit. Yeah.
They should.
Why not?
Why not?
There's a security deposit for a repass.
What if they mess
It's
up?
gonna be the same.
What if they mess something up?
I mean, because if Madam Chair, may I comment? So
Councilor Trueheart?
if they were to go to any other banquet facility to rent it for, whether it's a birthday party, wedding reception, any kind of a function or a repass, you're required to pay a deposit, security deposit.
Yeah.
They're not saying, oh, since it's a repass, you don't have to pay it. They're not. That is the reality of the world we live in. So
We were just,
Okay.
we didn't require.
now we're not. Now, when you say we, who are you referring to?
Banquet hall work.
Okay.
And we had 6 buildings, 6
Okay.
rooms, so, you know.
So we want to also then put, first page, all events including repass. All events including repass. All right, so, any more?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, I was going over this with the file. I mean, well, I mean, it was added in as far
I
as,
thought when we received this, we did that, but.
No.
I wouldn't have read it if it was a draft.
it's like the hall monitors. I mean, this was added is additional payment of $275 required for the renter for 2 monitors. And events of 200 or more, we require 3, and then now they're being charged $400 for the monitors. We didn't have that in, I didn't have that in. This is
So,
something new.
so because the original contract was not taking into account the setup hours and the cleanup hours for the monitors to get paid. They were only getting paid for 4 hours. You have to pay the hall monitors to monitor for setup and for cleanup. You can't have parties in the facility and no one supervising.
So that was something that came to us
That's where
prior
they-
to your
That
administration.
other amendment with the hall monitors, they're getting paid $25 an hour. So which ends up being more than what they would have been paid under the original contract. Original contract said they were paid $100, period.
Can you silence that, please? Okay.
Right, in the original contract,
Right.
they weren't paying the hall monitors for the extra time.
Right, that's why we changed it, we
Right.
said $25 an hour.
Right.
Because now they're getting paid for setup and the cleanup time and the event.
So it's just reflected in the contract now.
Well, it's not in the contract, we have a separate one for hall monitors far as what they would get paid. And
No, that's for the actual hall monitors, but we're having the person who is renting the hall is covering the cost of the hall
that's
monitors.
being added now that they're
Yes.
paying that.
Yes,
They're
That's
paying
in
an extra
addition.
$275
yes,
and $400 if they're having, which, I mean,
yes.
everybody agrees to that.
Okay, yes, that's not an error.
All right, under security deposit, we put down, we will not accept personal checks, but we don't specify that in other areas. It just says in the form of a check or money order. So now all of a sudden, we're saying it can be made in the form of a check or money order, and we will not accept personal checks. So, you know, people are gonna be paying with personal checks, not gonna be paying with business checks. Correct? Under security deposit.
It's a second paragraph.
I see it.
Right.
So,
Second sentence, rather.
do you
Third
accept
sentence.
personal checks or no?
We do accept personal checks, like in the beginning.
For
So
the
any,
deposits only?
if it's less than, well, no, everything has to be in by 14 days before the event.
Right.
So anything, we accept personal checks, I'll just say that.
Because if,
Because if it bounces, we'll know ahead of time.
right.
All right,
Yeah, and it does say on the front that we accept personal checks
okay,
on the
so,
payment.
so we will redact, we don't accept personal checks and just put we don't accept cash. It's under security deposit, third line down.
So something is wrong here. It says the security deposit must be made in the form of a check or money order. Then the next sentence says the borough will not accept personal checks.
Yeah, so we're gonna take out personal checks or, and just say the borough will not accept cash.
Okay.
But just say will not accept cash.
That's what I said.
Yeah. But I'm saying take out the.
I said we take out personal checks or, personal checks, those three words, personal checks or, and it'll say the borough will accept cash, will not accept cash. Okay. Anything else?
Yes.
All right.
Under rental terms and agreements, first one, condition of the property.
I'm sorry, I can't. Condition of the property,
It
yes.
says the premises must be returned to its original condition no later than 2 hours. It should be 1 hour.
And we should have changed.
Because we're only gonna let them have 1 hour after the
To
event,
clean up, yeah,
not 2 hours.
yeah.
Otherwise, they're gonna be here till 2 o'clock in the morning, and we said, we gotta be here till 1 at the latest.
Okay, so
Should be
no later than 1 hour.
1 hour.
Okay. Condition,
Terms and conditions.
rental terms and conditions, condition of property, number one, change it
We
to
added
1 hour.
that underscore, so that way they're gonna initial each one, so that, you know, we know that they.
The line to initial is on the left. All of the, okay,
Yeah, that wasn't there before, we added.
okay.
The last page, I wasn't sure with the print, somebody printing their name on that? The last page to completed by events coordinator or representatives.
Can you talk in your mic?
On the last page, where it says to be completed by events coordinator or representative.
Where do you see, which page is that?
The very last page.
Very last page.
The very last, okay.
Well, it says received by, which would be somebody's name, but then it says print. I don't know if that's.
Well, sign your name on the first and then print your name.
Yeah, you sign and print.
Right. Received by your signature and then underneath you print your name.
Okay,
No, it's just some new things that were added and I wasn't aware of them.
all right.
So I just have one thing, just to make clarification. With respect to the hall monitors, the 2 hall monitors, there's a 4-hour event. You're paying the hall monitors $25 a piece. Per hour, correct?
Right.
So for the 2 hours, each of them are going to get $100.
No, $50.
Each
will get $50.
not for the 4-hour
You said
event.
for 2 hours.
No, 2 hall monitors.
Yeah, you said for the 2 hours of setup.
Okay, so we can only talk one at a time, like Vice President Rowe Cloud finish her thought.
Okay, so So each get for the 4-hour event, the 2 hall monitors, they each get $100, right? For the event, for the 4 hours. Then at the end, they get an extra $25 for the cleanup. They're not doing the cleanup, but they have to be there. But I only allotted for 1 hall monitor for the setup because there's not going to be a whole lot of people coming in to set up. So all we would require is just the 1. And I did the same for the 3 hall monitors. I just wanted to clarify that.
So only 1 hall monitor
For setup.
will be there for 1 or 2 hours or whatever.
Right, for the setup.
For the setup.
How do we determine that? We flip a coin, Simon?
Determine what?
How do we determine which one gets the extra 2 hours?
We'll determine, that has nothing to do with the contract, so we'll determine that internally. So, I mean, of course, our hall monitors aren't employees, they're independent contractors, so we have to discuss their availability ahead of time. So someone may be available from, for the 6 hours, some may be available for the 5, so they can have the 4 that overlap. So that's something that we can discuss offline, but that doesn't pertain to the contract. That won't impact the contract.
Yeah, I just wanted to make clarification of that.
All right. So with all of those changes being implemented, I'm going to ask that we consider amending the motion to include the changes that we've stated here.
I make a motion to accept the contract with all of the changes that we have just discussed.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded and prayerfully no more questions, I'd like to call for the vote.
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
Motion passes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Next, I'd like to ask for the consideration to approve the settlement agreement with Anthony Paparo.
Motion, Madam Chair.
Vice President Rollcloud.
Motion to approve the settlement agreement with Anthony Paparo.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, given that this is a legal matter, we won't be accepting any questions, and we will ask for the call for the vote.
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Is there anything else that you need to add for the manager's report?
No.
All right. Well, thank you for filling in. It's a fun job, right? All right. So we will move now to our traditional solicitor's report. And I'd like to, I know this is usually your line, but we didn't see you this evening. So I do want to announce that we did have an executive session for about 20 minutes prior to this meeting to discuss legal and personnel matters.
Before I begin, I've gotten a kind of a question. Apparently during my presentation on Right to Know, the video cut out and then came back. Is the video operator there? Is he available?
Yeah, he's available.
Could you have him come out and explain what happened? I mean, that it was, cut it off. So I just want him to be able to explain it. That it wasn't.
For 1 second, I was kicked off the network line, so I had to log back in.
All right. So there was nothing, you didn't plan to cut out during the presentation?
No, and everything is recorded in full too, for post.
So it could be presented, it could be put on the website to be
In
seen?
full.
Okay. And the other question I had, thank you for that. The other question I got was that nobody from the public had the opportunity to ask questions. So you can ask questions at the end of the meeting, and also I'll be here to answer them all. And if you have more questions, we can take them at the next meeting, because apparently there wasn't enough time for people to digest it. So I want you to know you have that opportunity. Maybe that would work. All right, so my traditional solicitor's report, and I get to go before the engineer, so I can take all your thunder, which I'm going to do. We've been very busy this past month. We've got the corrective deed completed. I'll get that from you. That's because you have a certain tract of land that you gave part of it to the Nile Swim Club, but it wasn't correctly recorded. And in order to maintain this property as open space, we had to correct the deed, which we have done, and that'll be recorded. And that will help you. This is from like 1940, right?
Yeah,
This all
it
happened?
was
Excuse me.
because of the funds that were used to purchase the property of the land. It has certain restrictions on what you can and cannot do with the park land. And this is all related to community park. And this is about, you cannot have like enclosed recreation. It's all been listed. So that deed has been updated to reflect that. And now we can move forward with the projects that are proposed. And this gives us that opportunity.
So that's taken care of, and I'll record that, I'll go to the recorder of deeds tomorrow. We did have 2 properties that were mentioned briefly. We did work with the engineer's office to get those properties, we're bringing them to the county to be demolished. We're gonna get the funds from the county. We have engineers' reports that the properties are uninhabitable and very, very dangerous. The engineer has spoken to the county, and Sean Kilkenny actually spoke to one of the county council members, and they're ready for this. So when this comes in, we'll get the funds to get these properties taken care of. That was number 2. We had a meeting with the magistrate. That was very helpful. We've got a couple issues that we're still working on that we could discuss at another time. We have one, a scofflaw that seems to avoid all codes, but we are we're working on a solution for that. And we're working on also a solution that there was an indication that code officers could only write 3 citations on a property. That's not true. You can write them every single day. And there are certain municipalities that do that. So if you continue to do something, every single day it's a violation. Every single day it's a fine, and that adds up quickly. So you could go and cite them, and if you spoke to the magistrate, he's ready to accept them, and he's ready to move them through his system. Those are the most important things that we're working on. We also did the resolution for industrial park, so that's going to be moving along quite nicely. And we are working with the code department on 1100 Church Lane. Once we get a list of the violations, we're sending out certified letters. I did speak to the developer and the engineer. Once code department gets me that list, we send certified letters to the developer, give them a certain amount of time to make the repairs, and then we go and cite them. So we were very busy working with the engineer. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you very much. Would you like to present our tax collector's report? What's that?
Okay, so for the tax collector's report, so far to date from February 1st to February 29th, in real estate tax, the total that was collected was $101,866.63. Borough trash was $30,360. Borough sewer, $35,786.80, for a grand total of $168,013.43.
All right, thank you very much. Our engineer's report.
The first item I have is the county aid resolution. That will just be part of, we have to actually apply to receive the funds from the county each year. So that is the normal allotment. I don't believe that has changed this year. So I will be getting a resolution that would be adopted at the meeting next month. And then monies can be used for a variety of things that we can talk to Nafis about. The second one is, like the solicitor mentioned, the 2 properties for demolition. We're working to finalize those applications and get them over to the county. We received all of the certified letters from the borough and the solicitor as well, and those are to support the applications. The last one is the grant for the Natural Fish and Wildlife Foundation to put in an application to supplement the Blunston Run Stream Restoration Project. You currently have a grant for this. However, we didn't receive enough funding, so this would be in addition to what is currently awarded to the borough, so that you would not have to hopefully cover any construction costs. So we would want to submit that grant this month as well. So those are the ones I have planned. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. And then in regards to some of the questions on ramps. So that project did start this past month. We were aware of the notification issues at the beginning, and working with Public Works, we addressed that very quickly. Notices were put on the door that we told the contractor he had to notify everybody 5 days ahead of time. That was in our contract, and we took care of that very quickly. So I apologize for any issues about not noticing about that. As far as the intersections that were selected for this, I can't necessarily speak to that because that was a grant that we kind of inherited from the previous engineer. Every intersection that was done was something that we kind of took over and was previously identified as an issue or needing a crossing. As far as not having a crossing, if you have a 4-corner intersection, our goal is to maximize the amount of grant funds you have. So if we put a ramp at every single one, we didn't want to be redundant. We wanted to cover as much area as we could. So the idea that you can get from one road to another and then cross over and not have to go all 4 around, we didn't want to overdo each intersection. I will also say some of the intersections are complicated. Some of the intersections have really hard grades, or there is a wall right up against a residential property, and we did not want to completely disturb all of the property. So each intersection was reviewed for the feasibility of even installing a ramp. So it's not that we didn't want to, we physically could not have sometimes without a very large cost to it. So there was thought to put into all of that.
So if there's a question about a specific intersection, is it okay for someone to send an email and you can respond to maybe this, why not this intersection? There would be an answer for that, right?
I can do the best I can. Let's put it that way. I don't have all the intersections memorized.
No, I don't mean here and now.
Oh, okay.
I said via email. I'm not that person.
Absolutely.
Come on, sweetie.
I can do the best I can, and I know we have a full map and plans of all of them. So absolutely, I can certainly.
Right. Just a couple of days. If someone sent you a message, and especially the one that appears to be in the middle of a street.
I need to go back. I don't, like I said, I don't know that one. And do you have any insight onto that one by any chance? I know you
I
were.
have some insight on that intersection. That is Angora Avenue. The only cross street to Angora Avenue is not an intersection. It is in front of a resident's home. There was no other place to put it when it came to doing curb cuts to Angora Avenue.
But
There has to be a cross street to go to. Just going down Angora Avenue and keep going down the street doesn't get you across. I know it's an inconvenience for parking, but it's just, the next intersection down wasn't feasible, and it wasn't in our plans because we adopted plans. But Angora Avenue, 2 intersections, the 2 corners were just, they had to go. And there's inlets on, I bet you there's inlets on, storm inlets on every intersection we did, which makes things very, very difficult.
Okay. So if an intersection was avoided, or there is a reason behind it, and we would be if the question were asked specifically, we'd be able to answer it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In addition to that project, so that project is about 50% of the way done at this time, and they are taking the remaining ramps, and correct me if I'm wrong, is on Bailey, and they are waiting until school is out to work in that area.
Spring break, they're going to do
Spring
Bailey
break.
Road.
Okay.
So we're not disturbing school as much.
So can we also make sure that we're checking behind the contractors to make sure that they're doing the things that they're supposed to do? Like, is there any way that have we put anything in place to ensure that, going forward, residents are notified prior to work being done?
We corrected that on the first day.
I mean, I understand that it's in your contract, but in your contract, show me the notice. Send me a picture of your notice on 3 doors, something like that prior to, so we're not just relying on them.
No, absolutely. And we have an inspector out there, and then Mike is out there quite a bit. We have already been ensuring that, and I think you are too, that residents are notified 5 days prior as required, and the contractor has, all the required stuff out. We've already been taking care of that.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Vice President Roadcloud.
Are we also putting that information on our website?
Yes.
Yes.
And next, or next to our website, and there's many places you can have it advertised.
There was a comment about Church and Bailey peg crossing. I'm going to let Mike speak to that because that is something that he's handling, but I know somebody asked that question.
Is at the end of your report?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
We'll talk about that.
I had a question for the engineer.
I'm not going anywhere, Kat, just tell them.
Let me finish up the pedestrian crossing at Church and Daly was compromised due to an electrical wire coming down and actually cooking our control box out front. The control box has to be built specifically for our intersection, for pedestrian crossing, for every little incident that's in there. It's still being processed. It should be done within another week or two. Certain lights don't work anymore, meaning pedestrian crossings. There was just no way for the company to come up with a backup unit the night it happened. So we're up and running to the best of our ability. It will be back up and running complete, I'm gonna say within the next 2 weeks. So there was an issue, but Pico's taking care of the monitoring issue, and Signal Service is actually building this box specifically for that intersection.
Thank you.
Yes. Trying to see who would be responsible for the entrance to the shopping center off of Chester Avenue, right between where CVS and the, like the clothing drop-off is. It's like, that entrance is really bad to drive. I mean, this has got to be about 3 or 4 inch deep, with that cement, a dip in the cement. I don't know if that's something that the owner of the shopping center is responsible.
Even if they are responsible, we are responsible for citing them so that they have to fix it.
Can we make sure
If
they're
it's,
cited then?
if it's inside the development, is that like
It's
in their
the
parking
entrance,
lot?
It's the entrance. It's a little driveway.
It's public way?
As the apron drops off into our concrete, there's about this much. It's a little,
It's bad.
Is it right away? Is it us or them?
it's their property. It's
Oh.
it's
I
definitely.
think that goes back to the citing.
Yes.
Code.
Code.
Or I can, write them a letter. That gives you work.
Okay.
Or we can start with code.
These drive by, it's very obvious.
Actually, I've already written letters.
Thank you.
I can do that too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, on to our report section, our finance report.
Mr. Nichols he didn't send me a report, but he said he will provide a finance quarterly report in April.
I'm sorry.
He didn't give me a report for tonight. He said he will provide, though, in April, a quarterly finance report.
Okay. Ordinance and zoning.
No, I was gonna, Madam Chair, I was gonna ask Ms. Sapp, what happened to, code this evening? Oh, okay. Do you have a report? I can summarize my committee report, okay? On March 12th, there was a code enforcement / public works committee meeting that took place. Several people attended, saying there are some issues that need to be addressed, and specifically, I was told that there are cats being dumped in the Parkview Apartments and Foxcroft Apartments area. And we needed to identify exactly where so that we can notify the owner that we can't have that. So apparently, I don't know who's doing it. They're dumping cats in the area, and they're setting up little beds made out of styrofoam for them. And they're also dumping piles of cat food so they can have something to eat. But we have to identify, were we able to do that yet? No?
We have not, they're not codes identifying who is a nonprofit organization from Delaware County. That's.
They made winter cat shelters. I've seen those.
Cat shelters.
They can't do that.
They're bringing the cats, they're having them spayed and neutered, but now they're bringing them back. to
But
us.
we need to know exactly, because I was told that it could be the borough's property that it's actually sitting on. Or, right, so we have to identify, because if it's on the property of the Parkview or Foxcroft, that's the issue that they're gonna have to deal with. But if it's on our property, we have to deal with it. I mean, you
But
look.
we have to deal with it either way.
Right,
We
that's
either
what
gonna
I'm
pick it
saying.
up or
So-
cite it off.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll figure out whether we're picking them up or citing them.
Right,
I'll vote for
that's
picking
what I'm
them up.
saying. So that's one thing, and,
We have a lot of park space here. They can't put the cats in the park?
But then they become.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Councilor Trueheart.
So can we identify, because if that's happening, then there is a rescue organization that's doing that. So we need to identify who that is, that rescue organization, and let them know that they just can't arbitrarily, because who gave them permission to do that? And eventually, and I know what they do is they catch them, they take them, they have them neutered, and then they bring them back and release them. But, we need to speak to them. Where did they catch these cats? Did they in fact catch them in Yeadon? And if so, if they're taking them to have them neutered, then they need to come up with an agreement with us on if these need to be released, or do they need to be then taken to the animal rescue, or, where they just can't be put back into the community, because that's going to be a big problem.
So the bigger problem is that they're giving them food and shelter.
Right. Yeah.
So if they're catch and release, I'm not sure how much we can regulate that, but we can certainly regulate leaving.
That's what I'm
food out.
talking about, that they're
Right.
bringing them back. And if there's actually what you're describing, it's a rescue organization that's doing that. So we need to speak to them to let them know that this is not the location where they can bring them back and set that up. That's the issue.
so that was, that was the most pressing issue at that point in time. The solicitor, you did mention some updates on what was going on with some properties that we were having issues with.
Yes.
I do have some additional questions for you, but we'll do that afterwards, after the meeting. But that was pretty much it. So it's that cat issue. Did I miss anything? Yeah, the cat issue. Yes.
Okay. So I am going to ask, and I know Mr. Nichols is watching from his sick bed, that we ensure that there's a member of the code department here for our next meeting, because our public deserves to have an update from our code department. But thank you for hosting the committee and having that report available for us. I'll move on to our public works report.
Few announcements for our e-waste event will be suspended this month because of the Good Friday holiday. We are doing a yard waste pickup, and I mean pickup. Each resident's home, west side of Church Lane is May 1st. And the east side will be May 8th. So any residents that have any yard waste can put them out on Wednesday of that week, and we will gladly pick it up. We did move our speed signs. My report is incorrect. We moved them today to one to the 600 block of Fern Street and one to the 1000 block of Yeadon Avenue per complaints through residents and through Lieutenant Burns. The Aqua project is almost completed along Yeadon Avenue. 800 block of Laurel and Arbor has been, the concrete's being restored due to an Aqua restoration that happened, I believe, almost 2 years ago. So they took the old blacktop out and they're putting the new concrete in. That should be actually completed by the end of this week, probably a week ahead of time. Storm sewer repairs that were from last year have been updated and completed. Church Lane at Longer Boulevard, Lansdowne Avenue at Providence Road, and the Duff Avenue Stormwater Project, which I don't believe Megan spoke about, was going to start up probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. There's an issue over there with a steel plate over a roadway, which is eroding, so we're on that. The Public Works Department did respond to several emergencies, assisting the police and the fire department. One was a a flooding issue and a water rescue, and the other one was a traffic accident at Church Lane and Parmley Avenue where a car actually took down one of our traffic signals. The cats are on my issue. That's my report. Any other questions?
How soon do you think we'll be able to either to identify and remove the shelters in question?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
How's that? One way or the other, we're going to figure something out tomorrow. I think it's just going to take my day for tomorrow because that's extremely important.
Okay.
I have one question. For the yard waste, how must the resident prepare the trash for pickup?
Trash can be put in trash cans, as long as they're feasibly enough for us to pick them up. 3-foot bundles of trees, branches, anything that's manageable. If you can get it out there yourself, we can pick it up.
Okay.
Nothing too heavy. And our yard waste is every month. People bring stuff all the time to the Public Works garage. But yes, make it easy for us. And we pick it up where the trash is normally picked up. Nothing out. Wherever your trash is picked up is where we're going to be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there, do we have any police, fire, emergency management? He broke the mic.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
The Yeadon Police Department responded for the month of February to 1,207 calls for service. There was a total of, it says on the report, 7 criminal arrests, but I'll go through them. There was 1 for aggravated assault, 1 for burglary, 1 for disorderly conduct, then there was 1 for criminal mischief, and then we had, as the mayor talked about, the robbery. That was he was charged with 3 counts of robbery, so that's why I would say 7. There was also 7 citations issued in the month of February, 4 for disorderly conduct, 1 for harassment, 1 for littering, and 1 for a curfew violation. The department issued 10 moving violations. There was 590 citations sent out for unpaid parking tickets. There were 780 parking tickets issued. I had the opportunity to chat with the residents at the library on the 27th of February. I had 2 sessions. There's going to be another session this upcoming Tuesday, and we adjusted the times. There'll be a morning session from 10 a.m. to 11, and then also one from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. I had the opportunity to meet with Tenet Health Systems and Mercy Fitzgerald. They're going to be doing a DEA drive where any kind of medicine that you want to get rid of, it's going to be on April 27th. We're going to partner with Darby, the DEA, and the hospital system. It's going to be in back of the Friendship Circle area off of Wycombe. So essentially people will pull in, you can drop off your medicine, and they're going to be putting swag bags together. Any questions?
About your report, General?
Well, yeah.
Now, one of the things I've noticed is you seem to have a lot of parking tickets that aren't paid. And I know you said citations. How are we really collecting on these? Because, I mean, the one that says over 10,000 with nothing being collected. So we could use those funds.
We send them to the court. The court sends out citations, and then that's how eventually we'll try to collect that way. Councilor Roclow and I have been having conversations with this in reference to the court. They can issue a warrant, but in Delaware County, it's not like Philadelphia. Where Philadelphia, if you don't pay parking tickets or you owe, you're easier getting out for a homicide. They'll give you bail for that, but they'll keep you until you start paying. In Delco, they will not take you to jail for not paying tickets, for moving violations and for parking tickets. I did, I mean, we can talk offline about some options we can come up with, possibly, but we're trying. We're trying everything. I mean, we're trying. Our officers are going to court and talking to the judge, especially with the one situation, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but the one person had over 47 warrants, quote unquote, citations. They made this person pay $2,000 to get a court hearing. This person still owes us, in addition to that was written over the years, still owes us $1,200. So when we go to court, we'll let the judge know, not only does this person owe that the 47, they still owe 1,200 here. I'm sorry, we could probably look into, and I talked to Mr. Nichols about it, we could possibly look into, there's programs that we can actually hire a collection agency to start going after people, and put on their credit report, put a judgment on them. That's something we might want to.
So, Chief, real quick question. Don't they suspend your license in Pennsylvania?
Not for parking tickets, for moving violations. Not for parking tickets.
Can we boot them? You heard her.
I put an I don't know what I put an ordinance in. I wrote a proposal to get the booting technology with, and I mean, look, full disclosure, anyone who visits Philadelphia, I mean, our parking tickets start at $10. If you get over $1,000 in parking tickets in Yeadon, you're doing something egregious, because I mean, $10 a ticket. I'm bad with math, that's why I do criminal justice. But like, you add 10 to get to 1,000. I mean, somebody pull out their iPhone and figure this out real quick. I mean, there you go. See, there you go. Yeah, and I mean, the most expensive ticket we have is $50. So people are real. I mean, I did send up an ordinance. I'm not sure where, to get an ordinance for. No, I'll send it up again. It was sent to the previous solicitor, and then I was resent it. So I'll make sure you get it.
Okay.
So I actually have a question. So, and I guess this is more for the solicitor, because it doesn't seem right that you're citing someone for some sort of violation, you're sending it to the court, and it seems like it just disappears. Nothing is done. There's a disconnect somewhere.
I can talk to you about it after the meeting, and I can discuss more of the information that I received from the district justice that might help explain where there is a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeadon and its big problems. Anything else, Chief?
No, thank you. That
Thank
concludes my report.
All right. Do we have a representative from Fire Department or Emergency Management?
I don't think so.
All right. Now the fun stuff, Mr. Recreation.
All right, I want to just, real quick, Mr. Hunter. So first of all, I just want to thank everybody who filled out the volunteer form online. And if you are still interested in volunteering for Flag Day, please fill that out. And please do that sooner rather than later, because we're going to be ordering T-shirts for all the volunteers. Also, real quick about the committee, we meet on the first Tuesday of the month at 6:30. If you are interested via Zoom, the Zoom information will be on the website. And we are going to be, myself and the mayor will be meeting with County Council next week regarding additional funds for Flag Day. We're going to petition them to make sure that they give us some money, and they should. So we're going to be doing that next week, which is March 20th at their public meeting. And the last thing I wanted to let you all know, I will be speaking with Dr. B. Coates on this coming Monday via Zoom with some representatives. I just got an email from Darnell, also from the school district, to really discuss what the logistics will be for Flag Day. There will be members from the school district and from the recreation committee on that meeting, because we need to know sooner rather than later what we're going to be allowed to do. Any issues with Kerr Field that residents have, this is my advice to you. Please petition your school district representatives. This is a school district issue. We, as counselors, we will speak for you, residents, as far as your rights to use Kerr Field, but this is really the school district. And our school district representatives, again, is Valerie Cook-Henry and Robert Wright. Valerie Cook-Henry and Robert Wright. Their information is on the school district website. You need to email them, and you need to ask them to advocate for you all to use Kerr Field as well. Mr. Hunter?
Thank you also.
As you know, Kerr Field is open. We've been up there with the track team, and today we had a lot of residents Vice President Roadcloud was up, and we had a couple of other people who were up there this week, well, today really. But it's starting to move along. You can walk the path. Now we're trying to get some other areas open where we can actually walk. So, as Councilor Beatty said, call your school district representatives. We have a couple of grant opportunities. One with the Delaware County Stormwater Coalition, which Yeadon is a part of. We're seeking a grant from DCNR, the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. The grant is to have a tree inventory and a management plan for community park. So we're going to do that. As you know, the trees on Providence Road offer kind of a canopy, and then as you go up the walkway, we have a ton of trees that we put in years ago. So we're going to try to have some more trees, especially in the Picnic Grove area. So we're going to get a grant from DCNR, and we'll fill you in with that again. Another grant opportunity, we got a call from the Lower Marion Conservancy. They're looking to give some grant money away for people who have, or townships or municipalities who have vegetable gardens. So we are going to put in a grant for that. What it is, it's a pollinator grant. What they're trying to do is figure out why the bees are all going away. So we're going to try to get a pollinator grant. Hopefully we can do it for our garden at Community Park, so we can then have the bees pollinate the vegetables, and we'll have a greater yield. So we're going to take a look at that. Hold the date of Tuesday, May the 14th for our free backyard composting workshop. And we're going to hold it here in Yeadon. And everyone will get a free composting bin, and we can find out something to do with all the chickens we're going to hatch. So we can make that work. I want to extend gratitude to Yeadon Borough residents who attended the Rain Garden Workshop in Haverford on the 2nd of March. It was raining like crazy, so they learned how to construct a rain garden, and they watched the rain garden fill up, and it actually works. And our 2 rain gardens in Yeadon actually work. I think the library, was it okay? The rain garden? Yeah. So our rain gardens are working. So we're going to keep trying to push some rain garden workshops. The other thing is, Camp Garrett. It's on the website. If you know people who want their children to go to Camp Garrett or employment opportunities at Camp Garrett, let us know. And the flyer is on the website. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter, may I ask a question, please? So will they be doing another rain garden workshop anytime soon?
Yeah, we'll be doing a rain barrel workshop probably somewhere in the summer. But, we're taking probably a strong part on the Stormwater Coalition, trying to get a lot of things here in Yeadon. A lot of Yeadon residents have been taking advantage of some of the rain garden and environmental opportunities. So it's been a really good situation. So we'll have another one here.
Good, because I know there are some neighbors on my block that we were interested but could not make it, including myself in March.
Keep pushing.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Without further ado, I would like to provide a little bit of clarification. While this right to know presentation was definitely just something that was necessary and welcome, it is a bit of a result of some confusion from previous administration. Some behaviors that were exhibited from people who are no longer here, and there were members of the public who rightfully so wanted to hold us as elected officials accountable. Now, that's not to say that we haven't been abiding by. I mean, you heard our solicitor herself say that, our website is good, our behaviors are aligned, but, this was a result of people wanting to hold us accountable, and we welcome that because transparency and following the law is something that we're not above. So, Marcini?
Yes, thank you. Did you add one to that?
Yes, please.
Do we do it again?
No, not to do it again. No.
That's correct, yes, I'm sorry, yes, there was a complaint filed that I didn't mention by an individual, and after, the presentation apparently cut off, so she didn't get to see it. So she's claiming that we didn't fulfill our obligation because she couldn't see the video, which is why I brought the videographer in to explain. She claimed that someone here cut the feed so that she couldn't see it. So I got the email, I had the videographer come in and explain that none of us here were able to cut a feed, nor would we. But what I've also get confirmed by Mr. Nichols also sent an email in that the entire presentation is going to be on the website tomorrow and the PowerPoint presentation. And she also claimed that members of the public didn't have the opportunity to ask questions. So what we're going to do is next week, another solicitor will be here, Sean Kilkenny, and you can ask him questions. And I'm going to ask you to make very hard questions. So prepare them this week. And you ask him the very hard questions, and he'll be here to answer more questions. I think that has to satisfy your obligation, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And I understand and respect that this may have been a trauma response. We've been through it, through the ringer. We have not had the transparency. We have not had the recordings. We have not had the information available. But that is not what this administration is about. In addition to providing Zoom, which was not provided before, except when Councilor Roadcloud was using her own personal account to provide it to the people, we not only do we provide Zoom as a live feed, but we do have a recording for like a video recording that is uploaded as well. So we're doing our very best. No one here is trying to operate with the sleight of hand. We're doing what we can to ensure, well, those of us who are here, which I'd also like to mention, I believe that this is the third or fourth consecutive absence with Councilor Johnson. So in accordance with the others who have derelicted their duties, we're going to ask that their co-rental letter be provided so that we can have people to who wish to serve this community here and available to do so. So without further ado, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Thank you very much. This meeting's adjourned.